Hey guys, I've vlogged all weekend long on the Canon EOS R and the 15 to 35mm lens, so that's what this video is all about. And this video is not meant to give you like all the information that you probably already know from other review videos. Instead, I really want to show you actual footage so that you know what you can expect from this setup. Apart from that, I'm at the end of our trip here already. Don't tell you the location now, you will see it at the end of the video where we are, and just look at that. It looks amazing here, right? We're on top of a mountain here in Thailand. So I would say let's go back to the start of our trip and show you what footage you can get. So we're just getting our motorbike now. Let's take a scooter. I would love to have a big bike, but actually a scooter is a bit better because with all our bags it's just easier to fit it inside the foot compartment. So yeah, just have to deal with a scooter today. So we're there. This place looks amazing. Let's go inside the room. Woo! That looks awesome. It's definitely not luxury, but look at this view here. This is amazing. And there will be the sunrise tomorrow. You can actually see Laos from there. Like there's Laos and here's Thailand. Like we're still in Thailand, but there's the Mekong River and on the other side is Laos. It's close to the Golden Triangle. It will be a nice morning tomorrow. So the sunset looks great. As you can see, I set up a time lapse, but now it's time for some droning. I actually used the EOS R together with a 15 to 35 lens, also on the Basel S. That works perfectly even with a heavyweight. Great gimbal, love it. So let's fly the drone through this hole there. So they started great at a nice sunrise, and we directly went off with a scooter to the next place, which was a 2.5 hour drive. I think actually more, it felt a bit longer. Now we're here at Phu Chi Fah. Actually not at Phu Chi Fah directly, we arrived at a hotel here, and in the morning for sunrise we will go to Phu Chi Fah, and I think this trip will be amazing. But let's get some food first. So we arrived at the base. It's time to go up now. It's still quite dark. I think it would take about 30 minutes, should be 450 meters, but it looks quite steep. We'll see. So we're close to the top and we can already see that there are so many people. It's crazy. It's low season and it looks from here like the mountain is full of people. And it's not even tourists, it's all locals. So this place is actually more famous among locals and not foreigners. So just imagine if the crowds would come here. Probably shouldn't publish this video. So this is not an in-depth review about the Canon EOS R and the 15-35mm lens. I used the Canon EOS R for about 2 weeks now and the lens only for this weekend. So the purpose of this video was mostly to show you what you can do with it, with this setup. And actually most of the shots that I shot here were recorded in 1080p. A lot of times 60p, but right now, for example, I'm shooting in 24p and I upscale all of that to 4K. So the final video that you will see on YouTube is in 4K. And I can really say that what people like Mehdi Hepolja and I think Peter McKinnon say in their videos, that when you upscale that 1080p from that camera to 4K, it looks pretty much like 4K. I mean, you would really have to compare it directly to a 4K clip with exactly like the same frame and so on to really tell a difference. And even when I compared some clips of the camera and upscaled them to 4K, I couldn't really tell the difference. So upscaling the 1080p footage from the EOS R definitely works like a charm. And I think especially because of the 60p, it's smart to get a lens like the 15-35mm because it's just so wide. When I'm at 15mm and I use this 1.73 crop, whatever it is in 4K, then I'm still at about, what was it, 25-28mm. So you're still in a range that you can use. You're in standard zoom range and you can get all the shots that you would get with a normal lens. Plus, if you shoot at a full sensor readout in 1080p or stuff like that, then you can vlog, you can get super wide angle shots. It's just amazing what you can get with it. I mean, you just saw it in this vlog all the time, what shots I got with it. And I'm very impressed, especially because it's F2.8, it's just great. And I also like the look very much of, for example, the bouquet and the stars that you can get from the sun. Like I filmed yesterday in our room how the sun was shining through the door, and the star that I got from the sun, it was at f2.8 and it looked really beautiful. The only thing that I really worried about this lens was close-up shots when I want to shoot some B-roll. And to be honest, I did not have any problems at all. Like before on the Panasonic GH5, I used the Sigma 18-35 lens there and I got a zoom range of about 25-50, and if I cropped into the sensor, I was at about 70mm and I was used to that range. So obviously with this lens, with the 15-35, my zoom range is a bit less now. So if I'm on the 15-35mm lens, and I use a 4K crop 1.7 times and I have extended stabilization on, then I'm probably at somewhere around 60mm, don't know it exactly, but it's not much less than I would have with the Sigma 18-35 on the Panasonic GH5, so I'm not too limited there. Apart from that, it's very nice because I have like this 15mm shots that are just perfect for vlogging. I don't have to hold the camera too far away, I can hold it a bit closer, then I can easily go to 24 and even 35mm with a full sensor readout. So that's just cool, because if I just want to get some 1080p 60 B-roll quick, I can do that perfectly at 35mm. To be honest, I'm at a bit more than 35mm actually, because I have inbuilt stabilization on and to enhanced in my 1080p 60 profile that I used, like this custom profiles I've set up, because when I shoot 60p, I in most cases don't want to get this super wide angle shots. I usually want to go a bit closer. That's why I turned the stabilization on. It's not just for the stabilization, it's also to be a bit cropped in. Like having a slight crop there actually helps a bit. So that's already so much for this lens so far. For the camera, my feedback so far is also very good. There are some things that I really don't like about this camera. At first, the on-off switch is on the left side, and I don't understand why Canon did that. Like most other cameras have it on the right side, and that's the natural way how you use a camera. Like when I grab my camera, I have my right hand on the grip, I have my left hand on the lens, and so I can just use my right thumb usually to turn a camera on. But on this camera, I first have to go with my left hand to the left side to turn it on, and then I have to go to my lens. It's just Why? Why Canon? I don't understand it. Then the next thing, I mean, the 4K crop is okay, you can use it. The pixels are still a bit bigger than on the Micro Four Thirds camera that I was using before the GH5. But the problem is more that when you first want to get a 4K shot in 24p, for example, and then after that you think, okay, now I want to get a shot that I will use in slow motion later, then you have to use 60p. And you can't shoot 60p, 1080p in a crop sensor mode. It's just not possible on that camera, and that really sucks, because then you get a completely different viewing angle when you switch back to 1080p 60. Then it's a full sensor readout, so you're not that cropped in anymore. It just sucks, so you would have to change all the time. So that's probably the two biggest downsides of the camera. Also, like, I don't really like the touch bar there. They, I think, used it for ISO. I sometimes use it to set my ISO. So it just takes too much time. Like, you would have to press on it for 1 or 2 seconds until you can set your ISO. If they would just use a normal wheel, you could just set it immediately. It's just much better. And I don't like to use a touchscreen all the time. It's just too distracting and it takes too long. So yeah, please Canon on the R5 and R6 and remove that touch bar. Like, no one really needs that. So, but apart from that, I'm really impressed by the quality. I like that we have such high bit rates inside of the camera. I hope Canon sticks to that in the R5 and R6. And the picture quality, of course, like Canon colors, it just looks great straight out of camera already. I personally, I don't use C-Log too much. I only use C-Log when I shoot in 4K, because then I can shoot in 480 mbits, and it's just a crazy high bit rate. And when you shoot in log, doesn't matter what manufacturer the log is from, you always want to shoot in high bit rates to make sure that the camera just captures all the details. Otherwise it can be quite hard to color grade without breaking the image. And so what I do is I have my first picture profile set to 4K with C-Log, and my other two picture profiles is 1080p 60 and 1080p 24, and I have set it to a neutral picture profile with a flat contrast and flat saturation, so that I still have a flat color profile there. I lose a bit of dynamic range, but therefore this footage is a lot easier to color grade. It's basically just adding some saturation and contrast, maybe a slight S-curve. It's basically contrast, I know, but it's a bit different than, because you have more control than the normal contrast. And then I usually just apply a LUT, or I create my own look. I can do whatever I want with it. So the color grading process there is really easy. And yeah, apart from that, like, the picture quality is amazing. I'm really looking forward for the Canon R6. I know everyone is talking about the Canon R5 right now, but to be honest, I don't need a 45 megapixel sensor, it's just too much. And I think if you have 45 megapixels, that automatically means that you have less low light capability, and you also have less dynamic range probably. So I prefer to have 20 or better 24 megapixels to have more dynamic range and better low light. So the R6, as far as it's rumored with 20 megapixels, should be a better option there for video shooters. That's why I'm very interested in that camera. Okay, so much for this camera setup. I know it was not too much information in this video, but I think there are already so many reviews on YouTube about this lens and this camera that you basically know all of the stuff that you have to know about it. So I think it's a bit more interesting to actually see what you can do with this setup, and I think this video should be quite well to do that job. If yes, then please leave me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like that and tutorials in the future about travel filmmaking, don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell notifications button. See you!